I'll just start by saying thank you to you and the Chamber for letting us do this webinar this morning. Thank you for the opportunity. And also thank you generally for all your support. You know, we are Chamber members, and as you say, we've been working together, and you are very supportive, and we appreciate it very much so. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
So I'll start by sharing my screen. Okay. Start slideshow. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So I was just saying earlier to Rachel, hopefully, you know, you will all be at different stages of website development, knowledge, usage, whatever you want to call it. So it's hard for us, not knowing you individually, to know where to pitch this really to give you all some value. So hopefully what we're going to discuss this morning will give some of you some useful tips and knowledge. If there's anything you want to ask specifically, or you want to have a chat with us later, obviously, about your own situations, then that's fine as well. But hopefully today we'll cover off enough generals for you. So we're looking at 3 things this morning. One is to make sure your website is set up to be an effective marketing tool. It's very easy when you know your own company to put what you think should be on a website, but you've got to think about it from the point of view of people who don't know you, who visit your website as potential purchasers. What do they need to see on there to make them want to buy? Secondly, how to use digital marketing and social media to get ahead of your competition. Invariably, if you do a search for your main keywords and your location, you'll find lots of competition on there. So how do you get ahead of them and generate the all-important sales? And thirdly, we do have access to funding streams which are coming to an end in the new year, but they are still available, so we can cover those off as well. Little tiny bit about AIM Internet. We're actually we were formed in '96, which makes us older than Google. When Google came on board, we thought that'll never work. So how wrong were we? But no, we're very proud of the fact that we are now 26 years old, and we continue to grow as our clients grow. As we can demonstrate results to them, obviously they've got more. If they've got more capacity to sell, then they'll spend more with us in the marketing. The recent crisis with COVID and all the other bits and pieces have actually brought forward Europe's adoption of digital marketing quite considerably. So there's a graph there that just shows you what it was like pre-crisis and then since COVID. Companies who were already embracing digital marketing will, you know, be okay, and as long as they're carrying on increasing their capacity and their knowledge, then they'll be fine. Other companies that weren't online are now jumping on the bandwagon quite quickly. So I think it is the way of the world. I'm going to hand over to Mike, my business partner, to cover this slide off, if I may.
So yeah, so can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Fine.
So as a business, we absolutely believe that you should be investing in marketing. So the investment should really be a percentage of turnover. So if you do online courses, or you do all your business is purely online, then you will be spending up to 30% of your turnover in digital marketing. Smaller businesses would suggest you start off with ideally about 18 to 20 grand minimum, or up to say 2% of turnover. And traditional advertising is in decline, as is outbound marketing, and inbound marketing or digital marketing is moving ahead at incredible speed. The pace of change is incredible. The things that are occurring within the space are very, very significant indeed. You've only got to look at exhibitions. So I remember going to the spring fair and the autumn fair at the NEC 15, 20 years ago, and it used to take up the whole of the NEC, all 20, 21 halls. And the last time I went, it was down to about 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. And that's a good example of traditional stuff being in decline and digital marketing growing at pace. And the model there is talking about how you use it to drive leads, how you nurture leads, and then how you measure sales and then reinvest. So over to you, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, that's just a quick summary of what we've been saying there, that digital adoption is increasing, and consider moving some of your traditional budget towards digital. When you look at your website, again, going back to you, Rachel, just developing a website now, it's really important that people can see very quickly that it reflects your business. So what we would encourage you to do is look at where the margin is in your business, look at the main selling points of your business, and make sure that they're reflected in the first 6 to 8 seconds that somebody will go onto your website. They really need to see in that 6 to 8 seconds, and we call it above the fold. So before you start scrolling down, who are you? What do you do? Why should I use you? Any accreditation? So ours would be the fact we're 26 years old. What's your value proposition? Is the navigation clear? Is the user experience good that they can get to where they want to get to within a couple of clicks? Calls to action. People sometimes forget to invite people to, make contact, to ask for a quote, to ask for advice. So a good call to action and a good clear phone number or email address. And obviously the imagery is important because it creates that impression. In this scenario, you can see who the company are, PSC Flooring. You can see very clearly what they do. They do an extensive range of industrial flooring. The images behind their text show exactly what they do. There's a call to action, book a free site survey. They are industrial flooring experts. The use of the word experts is actually quite clever because you don't have to prove you're an expert, but very subliminally, if people see the word expert, then it gives you more credibility. And also the reasons to use them, 4 key points here. So as a homepage, as I say, it's got the key points in it that we would encourage anybody really to have a fresh look at your website and make sure that those key points are very obvious in the first 6 to 8 seconds. Another example here, who are they? What do they do? The reasons to use them, they've got huge clients such as Aston Martin. They've got the ISO standards, they've been going for 99 years, they've got good customer service, nice clear images, calls to action, etc. So again, just that sort of shopping list really is in terms of how a website should be when you first land on it. Most importantly as well, websites these days must be mobile friendly. It's getting more, we used to build websites in desktop, which would convert to different sizes for mobile devices and that kind of thing. We now build something called mobile first because Google wants to see websites being absolutely mobile friendly. So mobile first design then translates across into the other designs and tablets and desktop and that kind of thing. So just a quick snapshot here, a statistic from just about a year ago by device. You can see that laptops and desktops are pretty much level with mobile phones. And that is definitely on the increase. So again, another test for you really would be to look at your website on a mobile device. Is it performing well? Does it download quickly? Is it showing the right key marketing messages in the right place? There are tools online which we can share with you, which enable you to test your own site speed. So in this scenario, it's actually the BBC website. Sites need to score maybe in the sort of 90s out of 100. In this case, they're only performing 15 out of 100 for mobile and 32 for desktop. So again, another test for yourselves would be to use one of the free Google tools and just test your site speed, because if it isn't performing very well on mobile, then Google will start to penalize you. It does want to see fast responses on websites.
And also a good tip is to test the mobile on using mobile data, not Wi-Fi. About 20% of people use their phone and will use mobile data, and about 80% use Wi-Fi. I think the experience of the 20% on mobile data is obviously quite staggeringly bad. Yeah.
And it's a question of you don't know what you don't know as well. So if you haven't considered that in the past, then it's something that you really ought to consider in the future. You may or you may not have heard of something called EAT. This is a Google thing now. EAT stands for expertise, authority, and trust. And it will start evaluating websites based on this. So in the old traditional sense that websites were a selling tool, Google doesn't want to see you sort of blatantly selling on there now. Google wants to see you positioning yourselves as an expert in your field. So you might be answering key questions online on your website. The authority, of course, is things such as how long you've been trading, or what kind of social media presence you've got, how influential you are, the trustworthiness, have you got any good client testimonials, some good case studies. So it's all about now the website being as I said before, a marketing tool which satisfies Google's EAT requirements. By all means, Google EAT if you'd like to at a later point. It gives you quite a lot of information in terms of what the site should have. So the key takeaways from that little bit are: make sure the website's designed for mobile and it works well on mobile, make sure it's performing quickly, and consider using EAT for your website content. So when your website has been built or adapted or amended to suit, then obviously you need to start looking at how to drive the all-important traffic. In our world, it's not a question of just generating traffic to a website. It's easy to do that. The key thing is to generate the right quality of traffic. So it is really quality over quantity. So how can you address that? How can you find out what the right keywords are? How can you use the right digital techniques to get the right level of quality traffic to your website? Essentially, what you're doing with your website is you're connecting with people who are searching for you. So somebody somewhere now in the world, in the UK somewhere, is searching for your products, for your keywords, for your business, for what you do. What you need to do is to make sure that when they make that search, that they find your website in search results, and that they find the website and that they interact with you. Then you obviously use the website with the old EAT, expertise, authority and trust, to convert them into customers, increase your sales and grow. It's a fabulous way of reaching new markets. So you may be successful in your own current world, but digital marketing really does help you to build on that success and reach new markets. We would advise you to consider any digital marketing activity and your website as being part of a funnel. So in this scenario, the website is the funnel. There's lots of different ways of driving traffic into the top of that funnel, which we'll go over in a moment. But what you need to be doing really is measuring what you are getting as a result in terms of your sales, but most importantly, what comes out in terms of margin. So in this scenario, if you're spending £1,000 a month on driving the traffic and you're making £5,000 in margin, then you have a 1 in 5 return on your investment. And again, the digital world now has made everything so measurable so easily that we believe that any marketing spend at all should be measured and proved to be successful and proved to work. Just back to the slide that Mike alluded to earlier, went through earlier, in the importance of getting the mix right between any traditional and outbound marketing, and getting the mix right with the inbound to generate sales. It's also our belief that you are experts in your field. It's very important to work with experts in their field. So to work with a digital marketing agency who knows what they're doing and how to generate the business, and to combine that expertise with yours, is what we believe makes these things much more effective and drives the return on investment. Mike, would you like to pick up on the?
So essentially, if you're using an agency or you're responsible for a marketing department, you should be working with them on a very regular basis. Obviously, if it's in-house, it will be daily. But from an agency perspective, you should be looking at it as a partnership and not just letting them get on with it, which we find when we inherit new clients, that's often the case. Particularly in terms of the information that you hold in your organization. So there you may or may not have a CRM. You may or not be using Google Analytics. You should have a database with emails. Ideally, you've got a website and social media. And indeed, you've got an account system. And the information that's held within that those areas, you as a marketer need to understand, and that information needs to be translated to your agency, so that when they define who the audience is, what the best media is, and what the right messaging is, they've got a good understanding of you and your business. There's a section within Google Analytics which gives you a breakdown of the pages that website traffic's going to, and we find that needs to reflect the sales and the margin in your business. And if they're not, then you need to do something about it very quickly, because you're very likely to be getting a lot of traffic that is irrelevant. So a lot of information that you hold, the agency needs to have. They'll do things, they'll get results, they feed it back, and together on a test, measure, fail basis, you should be able to generate return on investment quite quickly.
Yeah, and what this bottom bit here shows you that there's a link between your accounts package, Google Analytics and Search Console, the data you're collecting, and also the website results. So they should all be tied in very tightly together to make sure that the activity generates the results and the profits for you. It's a bit in depth to go into too much this morning, but if you'd like more information on that approach, we'd be very happy to discuss that with you at a later date. Also, if there are any questions as we go along this morning, I'm happy for you to jump in if you have any burning questions. If not, we can take them at the end. So the formula is to work out where the margin is in the business, because you may have lots of things to sell to lots of people, but if you focus on where the margin is, then you'll get results more quickly in terms of financial gain. So work out the website, make sure it reflects the marketing, reflects the business. Then there are different methods of marketing that we would encourage you to look at and investigate and test. So search engine marketing, which covers on and off page SEO, search engine optimization. Pay-per-click, simply call it Google Ads, Google AdWords, very effective. We'll go over that in a moment. Remarketing is where somebody's been onto your website and they go away, then they start seeing banner ads for you around various points of the internet. Social media, obviously, very important, which we'll discuss, and email marketing. So if you get the website right, and if you have the right method of driving traffic, as I showed you with a funnel, just a little bit of everything done right all combines to drive this marketing machine. So test everything, measure everything. If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't work, change it. But at least everything is very measurable now. Back to you, Mike.
Yes, yeah, so that model is evolving. So we're currently effectively going through a cookie-based world and a life after cookies. So Apple have already abandoned cookies, much to Facebook's disgust, and Google plan to do it. Originally, it was going to be July 2023. It's going to be July 2024. I've heard, and essentially all the big players, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Twitter, potentially with Elon Musk behind it, are after your attention so they can sell you advertising. That's the model. And depending on your business and your situation and whether you're B2C, D2C, B2B, you'll require different ones will work at a better level. And there's a big change as well towards emails, i.e. first party data, and away from cookies. And basically it's traffic and conversion. So we drive website visitors and we convert, and instead of using cookies, we'll be using first party data, and the slide previously that Sarah explained in terms of CRM and stuff. That's the information we're using to feed it back into the loop.
Yep. And invariably, digital marketing is like painting the fourth rail bridge. It never ends. So you start somewhere. I mean, what we're talking about now probably wasn't discussed 6 months ago, and it'll be different in 6 months' time. So unfortunately, it is something that is never ending. You have to keep on top of it. So again, using an established agency should keep you at the forefront of all the digital marketing advancements. I mean, certainly the biggest one really for us in the last few years has been the development of Google artificial intelligence. It's just phenomenal now how much of an impact that has on our work in terms of identifying for our clients who they are trying to target as customers, where their target markets are, and making sure that we can position our customers online where their potential customers are. It's just, I mean, I know AI is very big in life generally, but certainly in terms of digital marketing, it's massive. It's absolutely huge. So we'll cover that off again a little bit later on. So driving the traffic, as I say, everything needs to be tested and measured. If you haven't got analytics on your current website, you should, because it shows you the results of any marketing activity or any traffic that's come to your website. It doesn't go down as far as to show you who's been on the website. There is software available for that, but our belief is that your budget is better spent in generating quality traffic and converting that traffic rather than spending money on software that tells you who's been on the website. There's also an element of analytics called Search Console. Again, if you haven't got that set up, you can easily do so on your analytics. And that drills down even deeper in terms of what Google sees on your current web pages and what it would recommend that you put on there to get you higher up in search results. So one example is an insolvency practitioner who one of the services they offer is administration. But Google has picked up the driving traffic for people who are looking for office admin. So obviously admin and administration are very similar. So tools like analytics and Search Console are very useful to just double check and make sure that you've got the right keywords and that you're delivering the right type of traffic. I mean, Mike and I have had horror stories in the past with clients whereby we picked up a client who they sell industrial washing machines, and one of their products is a boot washer. And when we picked up the account, we did our due diligence and looked at their current activity, and they were spending a lot of money driving traffic to Boots the Chemist just because the word boots was in it, and Google was driving traffic for the word boots, but nobody was bothering to double check and make sure that it was the right word. There was another case of a company who manufacture industrial bellows, and their competitor, because we do an awful lot of competitor analysis as well, and one of their competitors was spending 25% of their cash budget driving traffic to a website for a dead poet called George Bellows. So these can be quite significant mistakes, quite eye-watering amounts of money as well, which are being thrown down the drain. So we would recommend a lot of background checks and due diligence to make sure you've got the right information. We would also advise you to look at your competitors. So yes, do a search. If your competitors are coming above you in search, then chances are they're going to be getting more inquiries from the internet. So it's quite easy to look at their activity. We use competitor software, and we can identify typically organically what they're spending, paid what they're spending. We can look at their main keywords and their competitors. So it's quite easy to sort of quite cleverly get you ahead of your competitors in search results. So key takeaways from that section are analytics, just analyze everything, measure your sales, look at the quality of website traffic, look at competitors, and it's all about driving good quality traffic to your website to make sure that it converts. Growing your business using digital marketing. I don't think we need to cover that again, Mike.
No, it's just we can move on. Yeah.
Okay, so PPC, I don't know how many of you are actually involved in PPC at the moment, pay-per-click. We're very lucky at AIM. We're obviously a partner of Google, but we have an account manager who was in the Leeds office of Google. She was our account manager, and they closed the office and moved to Barcelona. She left because she didn't want to relocate, so we snapped her up. So we've got her knowledge and also her manager in Barcelona. So we are quite hot on this. In terms
and we tend to be biased towards Google because Google typically are 6 to 12 months ahead of the others, whether it be Microsoft, Google, or Microsoft, LinkedIn, or Meta. So once you've got something working in Google, and you can look at the others, is sort of how we tend to work on it, with a few exceptions.
Yeah. So remarketing, as I mentioned earlier, if somebody visits your website, they leave your website, they see your ad on another website or on the internet somewhere. It could be on the BBC, or it could be on The Independent or some industry publications, and it reminds people that you're there, and hopefully they'll come back to your website. So you're not relying on just visiting your website once. It's a bit like driving past the same billboard poster every day. You don't keep looking at it, but subliminally you keep seeing the same message. So really, really powerful ways of driving traffic and generating business. But as Mike mentioned earlier, sadly, it's being phased out by Google. So we are looking at alternatives. It still continues to be very effective now. But when it is phased out, you will need to look at alternatives.
So we're running things in parallel. Google Analytics is now GA4. So we're running old campaigns based around remarketing and new stuff based around first-party data, as indeed our Google, trying to work out what's effective and what isn't, or how the stuff that's working now can work moving forward. And personally, I think that's why Google are trying to delay the abandonment of cookies for another year, so they can get enough data to make sure that what they're doing now is as good as what was in place.
Absolutely. And then step on from the remarketing is the display advertising. And again, I mentioned how clever Google's AI is now. So what we teach Google is what our clients are looking for in terms of business. Google then goes off and tries to deliver, because obviously Google wants to make money by delivering ads to be clicked through. So Google goes off and finds out people in your area or in your field who would be interested in what you do. So it might be that we give them a list of your competitor websites, and they start delivering display ads to your people who've been onto your competitor websites. Your competitors don't know you're doing it. It's very clever. But it's capturing your audience really, who may not know you already exist. Similarly with exhibitions, I don't know if you know that if you're exhibiting, there'll be a website where people can go and register for the exhibition, and we can start displaying your banner ads to those people. So if you're on stand F5, the banner ad might say, you know, we're at this exhibition, we're on stand F5, do come and see us. We know that works because we've had many clients now have tested this in the last few years. They have an increased footfall to their stand, and they have an increased level of inquiries as a result. But the very clever thing with that as well is that you don't actually have to be exhibiting. As long as we know which exhibitions are in your world and have got your target audience there, we can still deliver your ads to people who register for the exhibitions. You obviously wouldn't say you're on stand XYZ, but you can at least put your display ad in front of them and get them back to your website, and then start remarketing to them. So it's very, very clever in terms of targeting the right people. Just the same as well, there will be publications in your world online, and also press generally. If we can identify your world online, we can start running banner ads for you in those as well. Not many people I talk to know that all this is possible. So it's hopefully that's, if you didn't know it already, it's something very useful that you can pick up and hopefully use. And again, back to the previous slide, how important it is to tie it all together. So invariably you'll have most companies now have a CRM. If we can link that in with your accounts package, with the Google results, with the data you're collecting, and the website performance and the apps, then that's what drives the business forward. We are absolutely focused on increasing your profit, not just your sales turnover, but actually your profit, your bottom line. And this is, in our world, this is how you do it. So that's the sort of paid aspect. SEO and blogging. There are two elements to this really. One is on-page SEO, whereby you'd make sure your website has the right keywords in the right places, a bit like standing at the top of a high street. If the shops didn't have shop signs outside, you wouldn't know which shop to go into. And if your page isn't indexed correctly with the right keywords, then people don't know where to visit. So Google will reward you for having a very well optimized website with the right density of keywords. So that's the on-page. And then the off-page SEO is where we use a blog. In fact, I will show you an example, excuse me. Yeah, blogging once a week, this is a Google statistic, shows that companies who blog at least once per week see about a 67% increase in sales, not just in inquiries. So you can see this company started blogging around here, and then this is the organic result, how blogging effective content and linking back to the optimized page on the website has helped Google to push the site higher organically. And a live example of this is this company in particular. They've identified various industries they want to focus on. It might be because they've got experience in those industries. There might be less competition. There might be more cost effective, whatever the reason. So those industries that they're targeting have got their own blog categories within their blog. So to us, a blog just isn't an area where you post news generally. A blog is an integral part of our digital marketing strategy. So for example, if you were looking at warehouse flooring or epoxy floor coatings or whatever like that, if you've got those categories on the blog and you're posting regularly, then the organic search results will go up. And you can see here in this case, food grade flooring, they've got the top 2 organic spots, and that was purely because of all the blog activity. Taking that a step further and going back to the Google Eat thing we mentioned earlier, if you can find questions relating to your keywords on Google and you can answer those questions on the website, again, Google will give you a boost organically. So very important to know about these things. And then there's stats available in terms of how effective blogs are, how they've increased. We know blogging, but I mean, a lot of companies we start working with are very concerned about the time it takes to write blogs. Quite rightly so too, because they're busy running their own business, and the last thing they want to do is sit down at the end of the day and write a blog. However, when they do produce blog content and they do see the results in terms of bottom line sales, then it does become more of a priority. Plus, there are other ways of collecting blog content. For example, you could be interviewed and speak into a recording device, which then gets transcribed and then written into a technical blog. So it isn't just a matter of sitting down and writing. There are other ways of collecting blog content. Or you might have current blogs on your website that you can repurpose, or video content that you can take content from. So however you manage to get blog content through, it's very important that it's part of your digital strategy. This is just showing you, this is for the manufacturing people out there, the types of content manufacturers have used in the last 12 months or so. Email newsletters was high, but you can see that blog posts are just behind there, and also video, interestingly. A lot of companies we come across haven't yet adopted video strategy, but again, it's becoming more and more effective. And then marketing spend by channel. Obviously, as you'd expect, Google ads are high spend because you've got the cash element that goes into Google. However, when you look at the conversion rate, the SEO and the content marketing actually converts better. So going back to the comment earlier about doing a little bit of everything together, the Google AdWords, the remarketing and the display advertising are very effective, but so too are the SEO and content marketing, along with the social media. So this shows you really how you need to be covering all of them off as best you can. In terms of social media, Google will, it wants to see companies having a lot of social media influence. So a bit like blogging, social media isn't just about posting comments or, joining in chats. It's actually part of a digital strategy, again, using the right keywords and the right focus, positioning you online as industry experts where your potential customers are. If Google can see that your articles are being very well written, that they're informative, that they're authoritative, and most importantly, that they're being liked and shared across platforms, then again, Google will actually rank your website higher organically in search results. So social media as part of our marketing mix is quite important. So being part of the online conversation, this might be at an exhibition, there'll be a hashtag with the exhibition. If you can join in that conversation and not try and sell on there, don't ever try and sell on social media, but just position yourself as an expert and then have links back to your website. That is really, really effective. So using blogging is the core. If you've had some blog content written, as I say, hashtags for events, publications, associations, engaging in the right feeds, which obviously we can help you with. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can very specifically target the types of company, the personnel, their job status, really effectively in a professional expert approach rather than a selling way. I think you'd find it quite useful. I think we've pretty much covered these off really in terms of using the effective content, the Google questions, the video, and the type of content. We keep coming back to this slide because of the importance of it, because I think a lot of people are sort of familiar with the current model, but it really is important to, as I said earlier in the presentation, that the internet changes so frequently that you can't just sort of sit back on your laurels and look at the old model. You've got to look at the future. So we like to think we can help people do that by sort of keeping on top of the latest developments in digital marketing. Mike, would you like to just cover this one off?
Well, this is just an evolution of that, the future model where you're taking the content, whether it be a blog or a vlog video, related stuff, and that gets distributed across social media. But within each of the different environments, you've got Google Business Profile, you've got your LinkedIn company page, you've got Facebook Business Manager, all of which are throughput. So your content goes into these areas, and depending on which is more important for you, whether it's Meta, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Google, then that's where you put more of your efforts or your resource. But fundamentally, we still believe, even though these organizations are trying to keep you in the relevant platforms, at the moment, people will still visit your website in order to make a judgment. And the capture of the first party data, the people who are interested in you, so that you can re-communicate with them is very important.
Yep. We mentioned funding. It is starting to run out. There's actually funding for manufacturers is still available until I think it's March next year. 33%. There's also up to 50% available for B2B companies, not just manufacturers, who are looking to trade internationally. There's some international SEO funding around as well. So we are always well placed at AIM to drill down and find any funding we can for clients, because obviously it negates the risk of taking on any digital marketing activity, and of course it increases your ROI on the project. A lot of people don't know as well that you can offset our activities or digital activities against an R&D rebate. R&D rebates, we can give you advice on how to claim the R&D and how to apply our activities to that. And of course the corporation tax as well, marketing can be offset against that. So what we try and do is, when we're looking at the bottom line and we're looking at the return on investment, is we try and assist as best we can with any funding that's available. If the funding is of interest to you, what I would suggest, because there are different criteria, I'm very happy if you want to drop me an email and just ask me if I think you'd be eligible, or point you in the right direction.
Start half of it over my computer. Start half of it over my computer.
Oliver, are you addressing us? Sorry.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay. I couldn't quite hear what you said. So. Okay. R&D tax credits we just mentioned. So just briefly to recap, we've looked at whether your website is an effective marketing tool. Bearing in mind almost everyone who buys for you will visit it. Have you got effective digital marketing and social media activity in place to get ahead of competition and generate sales? And is the company eligible to access funding to help to pay towards the costs? So that's taken us about 40 minutes. I hope you all stayed with us. I know it's, as I said before, it's a lot to cover and we can't really drill down into too much detail because we're here all day, but I'm hoping that might have given you enough of a flavour of what you should be doing. But is there any specific questions? Stunned into silence.
You obviously covered it so well, Sarah.
Sarah, I've got one. How would you change this model when you're working with B2B rather than B2C? What you're looking at the moment seems to be mostly B2C.
Sorry, how to change from B2C to B2B, did you say?
Yeah, we tend to work more with totally B2B. We don't do any B2C.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, most of what we've covered this morning, it relates to B2B, really. What business are you in, Peter?
Software, computer software. Right,
okay.
Business software.
Yeah, I mean, everything we've covered off today is very applicable to B2B. Everything, there'll be industry publications, there'll be the exhibitions, the online search, all that kind of thing. It all relates to B2B.
Who's your target audience, Peter?
Well, at the moment we're going through a regeneration. We're in a very old business with a very solid customer base, and for the last 10 years we've just been servicing that customer base. But as those businesses are moving on, we're not replacing them. Whilst we're okay because we're growing with the businesses that we service. But we need to look beyond that.
What he's basically saying,
yes,
Peter's my business partner. He's saying we currently provide B2B we want to move to B2C also.
Okay.
That's what.
Well, but which audiences are you trying to target?
Well,
B2C.
Yeah, but what specifically though?
Right.
within
Okay.
B2C,
Rental companies.
So I missed that. Sorry.
Rental companies.
Okay. People like what as like Dictaphone used to be. They turned into a huge rental outfit. What sort of rental companies?
well, if you've got an asset for rent, we can put it on our platform.
Right. Okay.
So we're basing it on any asset that somebody has that wants to rent it out, be that, you know, bouncing castles, heavy trucks or whatever. We're already quite into the civil engineering and construction industry and end of rental. And we're thinking that we're pulling it out of just those industries and widen its scope into other places.
Okay. So what you're doing is quite niche, and but it's essentially the principles, whether they're B2B or B2C, remain the same. Is what is the actual target individual or the target person that you're looking to attract? So if it's a group of people that rent out bouncy castles, say for instance, that we need to find out where they are online. We need to begin to communicate with them through whatever channels they're at, so they begin to understand and know your brand. And once we get,
saying it doesn't make any difference.
the models apply to B2B or B2C, essentially.
That was my question, basically. Whether you have a different model for each, or it's the same thing, but you just manipulate it or move it or focus it differently.
Yeah.
At its basic level, you're driving traffic
Yeah.
to a website that converts, and then you build on that based on each particular business.
But it's most important is using Google's AI to find your audience, and you know, working with Google to make sure that we put you in the right place.
Yeah. Otherwise, that was a good talk. I've learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's great. Good. Thank you for the feedback. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to ask us anything? This is the bit I don't like. But we're happy to answer any questions. As I say, either now or if you'd like to drop us an email separately. As fellow chairman members, we'll help you all we can.
Sarah, you mentioned about R&D tax credits. I was talking to a member yesterday who's, well, I think their accountants let them down a little bit because they were totally unaware of it. And this is a company that's struggling as well. So there's so much funding there that people aren't really tapping into. So yeah, and I mean, we don't profess to be R&D experts. We work with an expert who's used to our world, which is where it's useful. So yeah, we're happy to do that. Rachel, you're asking a question?
Yeah, is there any secret to identifying effective blogging categories in your industry? Because I think I love writing and blogging and things like that, but I just feel like, oh, where do you start?
I know. Well, our approach is we have something called a digital content plan, and it very simply is it's an Excel spreadsheet which we share on Drive with our clients, and we sit down and we brainstorm. So as I said earlier, we know our business, you know yours. So we sit down, we brainstorm, and we say, right, let's start at the beginning. What are you trying to sell? Where's your margin? What are you trying to sell? Right, who are you trying to sell it to? Okay, and who are your online competitors? Where's your market? What are your publications? That kind of thing. So during that relationship building and that interaction, we evolve a strategy which will include all the right keywords. So as I said, the sample I showed you just earlier on showed their categories that we're targeting. So the blog categories really do need to be wrapped around what and who you're trying to target. And I mean, obviously you'll know that because you're in your business, but you know, putting two heads together to have that sort of strategy is what makes it work, really. We've got a very well established nursing home as a client, and they're obviously B2C, and they're targeting poor families who need to place loved ones into nursing homes. So they do use a lot of blogging to get their personality through, and their caring. So they will sort of say, you know, Mary's just reached 100 and we've made her a cake and all that kind of thing, because that's important in their world. But we also, alongside that, we run a strategy whereby we focus on the main keywords. It might be dementia care or, you know, nursing home, whatever the keywords are. So that still forms part of the marketing strategy that we post around those keywords as well. So it depends on the audience really, but it's getting the balance right to target who you're trying to attract.
Thanks.
Okay.
You
Right
got
then.
away lightly there, Sarah.
I think it's kettle
you've
time,
obviously
isn't
covered
it?
it so well.
I think it's cup of tea time.
Just one other thing, Sarah, you quickly put up a screen with your contact details,
Yes.
but it was so
Not too
brief.
quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with Graham's permission, we'll drop some contact details out to everyone who's attended today.
Yeah, no problem.
And you know, as I say, if there's anything we can help with as chamber members, we'd be happy to. But yeah, we'll do that. Thank you. And is now a good time to confess what happened to me at 10:10 this morning, Graham?
You can do, yes. I think you've actually recovered
My
what they
internet
did.
completely went down, so I've had to dash 10 minutes in the car to get to somewhere with an internet connection. So, so the fact that I've got through this is a miracle.
Well,
You have to be aware, Sarah, because we did one of these for another chamber last year, and that was at a point where the whole of the internet crashed. Literally, Microsoft had
that was a Teams problem, wasn't it?
yeah.
I know. So I think I'm not cut out for these things. I seem to attract these disasters.
I thought we would never have known, Sarah.
Oh well.
Composed.
Breathe now.
Actually, while we're talking, there are a couple of people on the call that I don't know because you're obviously part of perhaps another organisation. Lauren, could you just tell me who you work for, please?
Oh yeah,
Lauren?
yeah. I work for Paycare.
Oh right, okay, thank you. Thanks very much. We'd just like to make sure we know who we're targeting really. And is Freya there as well, please? Freya? Oh, she was there. She might have gone. I shall have to interrogate our CRM system. Do a few phone calls to find out. And there was a David C. who I don't have no idea at all who he was. So we'll do that. But if anybody wants, Sarah, by all means, will send all the details out. But if for any reason, I'm always in regular contact with Sarah. So if anybody wants to talk to me, and I can always, route things through as well. So no problem at all.
So I'd like to just thank everybody for attending this morning. I hope it's been useful, and thank you again to you, Graham, and the chamber.
Yeah, no problem. Mike, thanks very much as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank you.
Thank you. Very useful. Thank you both.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank
that's
you.
great.
Thank
We'll feed all the positive feedback through to you as well. So that was great.
Thank
you.
you very much.
Okay.
Lovely. Take
Thanks very
care.
much. Thank you. Okay. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.